like a flutter sleeve.
I like a little
shoulder
drama.
I like a sleeve with personality,
I
if
just
you can
like a
imagine.
sleeve.
If you
I'm
can
with
imagine.
you. I second that emotion. Speaking of emotion, fragrance really conjures a lot of it.
Yes.
And as we get into summer, I feel like we really switch up what we wear because
Absolutely.
the fall-winter shades and scents and nose are not really always the lightest, loveliest, and most effervescent for a hot, sweaty, heavy season like summer. So this brings us to a fragrance literally harvested at sunrise in the mountains of Turkey. And when Courtney tells you the story of the roses and the blonde woody notes, it'll become very clear why they named it Irresistible. I'm just gonna tell you what most people don't expect.
Yeah.
Is when you say fresh coconut water.
I know, that's a real zinger. Hold on a minute. Yeah.
You're getting the full size. The bottle is completely glass.
Is this not the most beautiful, like, prismed bottle you've seen?
It's stunner, right?
It's exquisite.
So that is a 2.7 ounce. By the way, obviously, Irresistible Very Floral. This is an Eau de Parfum. This is not Eau de Toilette. And you're getting the free $30 value travel spray with your full size in this sweet little duet of a 1-2 punch, home and away. And please know, this is your first look. This is all we've got. And keep in mind, if you actually were paying for the travel size, we'd be well over $200.
And I like to look at this in the world of social media, like how it started with the Irresistible and then like how it's going. So we have presented this as a single SKU, I think once on QVC, and it is really kind of lit your world on fire. No surprise there. This is actually my favorite fragrance in the rotation, and how I've been explaining it to people is it is a blooming whisper that starts a worldly statement of how to feel refined and elegant. And I think sometimes those two are exceptionally hard to go hand in hand because you're busy. How do you take time for yourself? How do you get those moments that when you walk into your room, your fragrance is your most powerful accessory? Well, this is what we do at Givenchy. So when you think about the idea of very floral, you discover this in spring and summer and think, oh, I'll get a spring and summer fragrance. I wore this every day of fall. That's how much I love it.
Oh, you did? Okay, I can see that though.
It is.
There is a woodiness to it.
And that's what the house does so well is florals with woody. It's the duality, the conversation of how opposites make perfect sense. So our top notes are bergamot, which still is one of the most expensive fragrance notes to source in the entire world. It's got a little bit of a citrus undertone. Then of course we give you coconut water, which really kind of elevates the exotic nature of this and how the florals become very, very rare. But then last but not least, the top note then it still gives you that sweeter black currant. So when it first sets on your skin, you get this sweetness where your heart starts to go to pitter patter, almost like you're seeing your first love for the first time. But how you know that it's serious and it's the love for the rest of your life is actually a rose. It's a huge symbol of love and romanticism. We've anchored that in the center of the rose. And if you've stayed away from rose fragrances, this is where we walk you on back hand in hand, because really and truly at dawn, it happens somewhere between 6:30 and 7:30 in the morning. In the Sparta Mountains, they have an incredible farm where they source a Damascena rose at that specific time because it goes through a double distillation process where we get the water and we get the oil. We then pair that with iris, which makes the romantic notes of the room clean and powdery and crisp. And then what sets on your skin as the final notes is that warm hug that we give you with, of course, the cedar wood and the solar accord, which really gives almost that warmth without the heat. And when I tell you that this is how you fall back in love with yourself every single morning that you get to spritz it, like as a mom, I'm not kidding. Like I get no sleep. My kids are so wonderful and they are where the wild things are. But if I can, like they really truly are. They're the loves of my life. But if I get to spray this fragrance, there's a different Courtney Kaysen that gets to walk downstairs and out the door who hasn't gotten to put on makeup, who's already 5 minutes late for school, and yet I leave feeling feminine, uplifted, and inspired to take on the day. And that's what's in this bottle.
So it's a new duo. We do not have many of these to go around. You're the first to see this duet presented,
so great.
Which the travel size is a $30 value. That's completely
free. And an
free.
actual spray, by the way.
Yeah, a
like
spray,
you get a
not a roller
spray.
ball or please. Yes. This is Givenchy. This is a $30, excuse me, value. The full-size 2.7 ounce eau de parfum, which obviously means some of the finest and most.
So that's the most concentrated. So if
correct,
you,
of the essential oils.
If you want to have the essential oils and you want it to be a little more long-lasting, you always want to go for an eau de parfum.
Always. And this is $175 on its own. So as I said, should be over $200. I love this, love this, love this as a gift. But the story behind it, which is so cool about like the roses and harvesting like at sunrise and what I didn't expect is when I was reading about this fragrance, they described it as solar notes.
Yes.
And I was like, that's the first time I've ever heard like that kind of description of a smell, like, oh, it's almost like the sun has a scent.
Especially paired with that ambrette, like that's again going to be one of the final notes, like paired with the cedar wood. You have this juxtaposition of like the coconut water, which strangely brings out more of the rose, which is interesting. And then the ambrette of the end, like you talk about the solar notes, it is, to even take it a step further, like think about what Irresistible in Paris, the Tuileries Gardens are, and the colors by the Ferris wheel that you're probably seeing right now. You're seeing the late moments of the blooms of the tulips that are then followed by the beautiful peonies that are so decadently fragrant. It's almost like walking in somebody's backyard in a different type of candy land. When you think about the incredible fragrance notes that are here and in this bottle, LVMH employs 3 of the best noses in the world, and that's the people that celebrate and dissect the scent so that it creates something magical and impeccable and indifferent to everything else that's in your counter. When you walk into Givenchy, most of the time you have to make an appointment because the idea is that you get that individual time so that we can see who you are and what you need. This is one of those defining fragrances where you fall in love for spring and summer, and yet, like the delicate rose that you are captured and studied and beloved because of how this bottle made you feel.
Look at the bottle. Like it's just, and by the way, we have like 500 of these left to go around. The purse spray is entirely free and it too is eau de parfum. Do you know what this smells like to me? In terms of painting a picture?
Yeah, I spray some.
Do you know that typically when you see like a Paris moment depicted, you'll see like a French woman and she throws open the shutters to her apartment with a wrought iron balcony gate, and it's the apartment that overlooks the Eiffel Tower.
Sure.
And it's like she has like turrets on top of her, and it's just, there is a sophistication but such a playfulness, because if it were just sophisticated and elegant, it wouldn't appeal to me because I can't be that woman.
Correct. But I think you can have moments to the nod of that woman, right? Because like, I mean, just this morning before I came in, I told like Christina in the afternoon, I was like, look, I have yogurt in my hair. I didn't get to shower. I had to pick up the kids from school. Like, please make this look nice. And shout out to our incredible makeup artists. They always do such a great job. But I think to that point, you have a moment and you have a memory. And I think while that doesn't always exist in life, you have those moments to celebrate and cherish those special times throughout the day. Like our roses just started blooming in our front yard. And I was so excited to go out and see them this morning. And then when I think about Givenchy and the center of this, which by the way, people, more and more consumers are gravitating this year towards rose than any other fragrance note. This is at the heart of what we do. Again, they go in the Sparta Mountains between 6:30 and 7:30 in the morning to double distill the rose extraction from the oil and the water. So when you feel like when you spray this and you get that effervescence or your mouth starts to water because of course the coconut water and the bergamot, but then you get that rose which feels like almost like the Beauty and the Beast rose that's like, you know, in the pedestal in glass.
I can hear the song.
Yeah, like you will find the difference. And then being able to try the original Irresistible, which has always been about sophisticated and playful charm. The idea of a French woman like always getting to savor things, we don't really get to savor that much in America. And I think if this in fragrance gets to your counter, you'll start to notice that you get to close your eyes when you spray it. And that makes all the difference of how you start your day, especially with the exotic fragrance notes that you have.
And also like there are unexpected moments too when you're wearing it and you smell yourself, and of course fragrance warms, especially essential oils, like obviously on the skin. And so then it takes on this very unique 400 of these remaining scent that becomes truly yours. But like you'll be standing there like I was earlier this evening, and I got up from my dressing room and I was turning to walk out, and I just got this like moment of sparkly pear.
Absolutely.
So it's like and it's so funny, I don't like rose.
Yeah, I don't like rose.
I don't like floral.
But I think you don't like rose because so much of it is synthetic. This is not synthetic
great
rose.
point.
And that's, again, I'm not here to tell you don't invest in fragrance. Like, we are a higher price point because of the level of care and design that goes into everything. Because this is an eau de parfum, you are not spraying this 14 times in the morning to try to get your fragrance notes. When you have rose oil and rose water, you are going to start to notice that you carry yourself longer with this fragrance. These take time to make. Again, we don't throw these on the table. In our house, like, most of the fragrances are $300 and $400. So when we present a Very Floral from our best-selling Irresistible collection, it's a wonderful time to invest it because, of course, it's very hard to bring in throughout the year.
So about $399 remaining. Like, that's how quickly it's going. And over $200 value. Or rather, sorry, $175 value if you were to actually be paying for the $30
And by the
free.
way, we don't discount. So, like, the fact that you have the extra with the value is a huge win because that's not in our vocabulary whatsoever.
Yeah, I wouldn't think like a half off sale.
Never.
Or, right?
We would sooner fall over.
Yeah.
Be like, she's sweet.